Hi, I'm Ryan Nickel, CTO at DSA Ocean, and today I want to talk about how you can set up a multi-leg mooring, a two-point mooring, for an oceanographic system in ProteusDS. So one thing you might notice if you are working with Oceanographic Designer is that it's set up to work quite well with a single leg mooring. However, if you want to add a two-leg mooring system, it's not exactly obvious how you would go about doing that. There is a way to go about doing it, and there's more than one way you can do this, but you do have to get into working with ProteusDS Simulation Toolbox. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a simple mooring in Oceanographic Designer, and then we'll use this as a way to make a copy of this basic mooring design, and then connect them together in Simulation Toolbox. So we'll just go from here and create this mooring in 50 meters water depth. We'll keep it pretty shallow, pretty simple. I'm going to use something a little bit smaller here for the top buoy. What we'll do is we'll look for maybe, say, a Nexens 950 buoy. So we'll select that. And then rather than wire, we'll do a sort of an all-chain kind of design. So we'll delete that wire and then add some chain here. This is not based on a real mooring. I'm just putting something together. So now the other thing, you might have some catenary line in there, and that's okay. So we'll put 150 in here. Something we might want to do and sort of help with compliance. You don't have to do it this way, but it's kind of demonstrating adding some stuff to it, right? So it could be super simple, but we're going to add a little bit of flotation here. So just for example, a couple of 14-inch floats. And, if we're in 50 meters water depth, maybe we'll have them 25 meters from the top. Duplicate that, it's sort of just next to it here. So 26, maybe 20, 27 kind of thing. So the idea is just to lift up some of the weight of the chain. We've got a bit of a chain catenary anyway, but I'm just kind of adding a bit of complexity here. So this is only one leg though. Where and how do we go about adding a second leg? Well, that's what I'm going to show you. So what I'm going to do is just save my oceanographic file here. And then what I'm going to do is go to dynamic export. Okay, I don't want to do static export. So this makes this simulation toolbox files for me to work with. And this is what we're going to do from here on in. So if we look at the visualizer, you'll see here, I like having the water surface on, so I'm going to turn that on just to get some context. What Oceanographic Designer has done for us is make, remember there's 150 meters of chain length here in 50 meters water depth, so we've got a diagonal line from the anchor point to where the buoy is. It's arbitrary, it's just a starting point. But what we need to do here is we want to get our second line in there. There's more than one way you can go about doing this, but a quick and easy way to do this is make a copy of the existing mooring line you have and then make a connection between the two of them. Now you got to know what kind of anchor spacing you would want to have for this, and just kind of picking something here. Let's say we have arbitrarily like a 50 meter anchor spacing. So the first thing we're going to do is create a copy of this cable model. So if we look at this cable model named mooring, you'll see some of the engineering model names here for the little trawl floats that we have here, modeled as these so-called X masses, and then we have the surface buoy here too. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to duplicate selected the object. It'll add. It says another name. You can change this later, but it says to give it another name that's associated for this. So we'll just call it 2. Now you can have an offset here as well, but we can adjust this accordingly as well. Maybe what we'll do is put this in 50 meters and see what that does. We don't have any other connections or anything like that, so it doesn't really matter what you pick for this. So we've got mooring 2 here, and now you can see it's offset by 50 meters. Now maybe you made a mistake, you want to change that. You can go into state and go to edit, and then click yes here, and you can make adjustments about where everything is. we don't normally get into the terminology for the engineering models that underlies how Oceanographic Designer sets things up, but the conventions we have right now is that node N is at the seabed, so you can see we've got an X in the global frame, a 50 meters offset, and maybe we'd want to make some adjustments to that to move it away or closer or whatever. But for now, we'll go cancel. And cancel here. Now, one thing we need to do on the copied mooring, we have the buoy model here already. This is a simplified buoy model, but each of these lines have buoys on them. So what we want to do is you can either delete, or if you use two lines here, it changes that line from blue here. It means that Proteus is not going to read it anymore. So we only have one buoy. We don't have two buoys. It's too much flotation and whatnot. Now the other thing that we need to do is we want to make a connection between these two lines. We want to connect them one mooring line to the other. So what you can do with that is kind of manually adjust things a little bit. This is a little bit awkward to look at. Normally what we do is sort of dynamic relaxation simulations. We'll just let it sort of relax to the profile that it wants to be in, but we can help it along here, and it won't take as long of a simulation time to do that. So there's some tricks I can show you with that. So we'll go to mooring 1, the original mooring here. We'll go to state, and if you go to edit, and keep an eye on here in blue, that's the geometry of the shape we want it to have. There's a couple neat things you can do here. So first, if you click on this checkbox, eject nodes from seabed, that's kind of handy, because what we're going to do is move this back over here a little bit. So it's fully stretched it out, just using it as an arbitrary starting point. Maybe what we might want to do is just put it right in the middle of the anchors. So that's, the first anchor being at 0. You can see here is 0. And 50 meters, then we've got this at 25. You see this line coming over here. So now, because we've got this checked up here, it's pooling the chain and everything up here like this. And I'm okay with that. So we click OK. It's going to say, hey, because you scrunched everything up here, there's going to be a lot of line pooling up. Right? Do you want to reduce the line length? Like, no, actually, I want to keep all this chain. It's maybe not the best mooring design ever, but I'm just kind of clarifying. It's just optional. You can choose how you want to do this, but I want to preserve my 150 meter total chain length here in this specific example. So I'm going to say no, I don't want to adjust the line length to make it shorter. And then we'll go apply. So you can kind of see here how it's puddled up all the nodes and stuff like that for the chain on the seabed. And there's our little, it's 950. Yeah, I called this 650B, but it's actually 950. That's a little confusing. Sorry about that. And anyway, there's our 950 buoy. And we don't have a buoy on the other one. We're going to do the same thing and bring it over here. So we'll go state on mooring 2, and we'll go edit. Just go yes. And what we want to do is bring the top node to 25 meters. And check this one, eject nodes from seabed, and then you'll see it go right along the seabed. It's going to ask me the same thing. Oh, hey, since this is such a short distance, shall we scrunch up the mooring line, chop off the excess length? No, I'm making the conscious choice right now to say, no, I want to keep this. So I don't want you to adjust the line length. There we go, and we'll go apply. Now, we're almost done. This is looking like a good starting position. This is not the static position, okay? So the floats are going to lift the chain up a little bit and make a bit of a sort of, not really S shape, but it's going to do something like that, depending on the weight of the configuration, or whatever specific design you want to do. That's going to come out of a simulation analysis. The last thing we need to do is make a connection between these two, because right now they're not connected. If I run the simulation, this one's going to plop to the seabed. So we go connection, and we've picked the master. I recommend you use the one with the buoy on it as the master, and then the follower, mooring 2. And there's a couple different options you can do here. Point or end is pretty explicit. It just connects the ends together. Point is kind of nice because optionally, if you want, you can pick an arc length where the end node is connected from, if you wanted to do something more fancy. But yeah, we'll just keep it simple. Go point here. Now, what this is saying is, are we in this relationship? Are we constraining the node N of the follower, which is down here on the seabed? No, that's not the case, so we leave it at 0. And then this is the follower location. Where along the arc length of the master line does this follower go? We leave it at an arc length of 0 because that's at the top where the buoy is. So we'll go save, and what I'm going to do here is we've got a short simulation, a 10-second wave ramp. We'll just turn on some waves here with a significant wave height of 5 meters, 9-second period that ramps up over 10 seconds. And I'm not going to run the whole simulation, but just to kind of show you what it sort of looks like to begin with. All right, so it's a fully dynamic simulation. And I'm just loading PostPDS. As it's running along here, click OK. Go to settings and perspective view here. Engineering. So there's our mooring, and then we're looking at the playback of the simulation here. So it's relaxing a little bit. I think our little trawl floats, there's going to be 3 of them on each of the chain. It's not really strong enough to do much to lift it up. And by default, we've got a current profile on, so it's starting to move sideways a little bit. But really the main point here is, just reload the data here. Now we've got 3 seconds or so. You can see how we've got 2 mooring lines connected to the buoy in our little multi-point simulation, and so the waves are just starting to get ramping up there. So that's one way to do it, but you can see how you can start with Oceanographic Designer, and then you make a copy of the mooring line, make the connection and stuff like that. Hopefully this gives you some ideas about how to do more complicated things in Proteus, and that's all for now. Thanks for watching.